Okay, now let's look at inflammation. This is also involved in your defense. You know, recognizing the foreign cells, inflammation, phagocytosis, interferon, and the complement system of proteins. This is still non-specific. It's the second line of defense, but they will support and interact with some of the specific immune responses. So the inflammatory response, this is how you react to a traumatic event in your tissues to clear away any of the invading microbes and cellular debris that are left. You're going to have redness because of increased circulation and vasodilation. You're going to have warmth because of the increased blood flow is going to create heat. You're going to have swelling because you've got more fluid in the tissue because the blood vessels dilated. That creates edema. Now, when the white blood cells and the microbes and debris and the fluids collect, it can form pus. And the reason that this happens, the swelling, it keeps the spread of the infection from going out to other healthy tissues. And then, of course, your nerve endings are going to be stimulated, so you're going to have pain. So redness, warmth, swelling, and pain are the signs of inflammation. And you can see that here. You have the injury, the prick with a thorn, and then these are Latin terms down here. Rubor or calor, that means redness and heat. Tumor means swelling, and dolor is pain causing loss of function. So redness, warmth, swelling, and pain. Okay, when we are injured, immediately what happens is our blood vessels will vasoconstrict or narrow. We will form blood clots because of the platelets. And our mast cells that are in the area will release chemicals into that area. That's the first thing that happens. Then the nearby blood vessels will start to dilate because of increased blood flow. And that makes the vessels more permeable, and they will leak fluids, and that forms what's called exudate, which is just the plasma that escapes from the small vessels into the tissues. Then you have a collection of fluids that will lead to edema or swelling. Now, if it's a clear exudate, it's called serum. But if it has been infiltrated by neutrophils, it'll form pus, which is white blood cells, microbes, and debris from the phagocytes. Then you have the scar, or the resolution of all this, where the macrophages and the lymphocytes and the fibroblasts all come into the area, and that will initiate this immune response and repair the injury. And sometimes there's scarring or loss of the normal tissue. Now, something unique about leukocytes is they are not stuck in the blood vessels. They can actually migrate out of the blood vessels and go into the tissues. That's called diapedesis. And chemotaxis is where they migrate because of certain chemicals that have been released at the site of the injury. So they'll go to that injury or that infection. Interferon is used in therapy against certain viral infections and cancer, and it's a small protein that's produced naturally by certain white blood cells and tissue cells. And there's three major types of interferons. There's interferon alpha, interferon beta, and interferon gamma. And they're all produced in response to viruses, RNA, immune products, and antigens. And all three of these will bind to the surface of the cell and induce the expression of antiviral proteins. And they will inhibit the expression of cancer genes. So it interferes with the virulent viruses and their lytic cycles. This graphic is showing the antiviral activity of interferon. When the cell is infected by the virus, the nucleus will transcribe and translate interferon, the interferon gene, and then it diffuses out of the cell and it binds to the interferon receptors on the nearby infected cells. And that causes the production of these proteins, these antiviral proteins that eliminate the viral genes and block the virus from replicating. So the viruses are actually inactivated before they can start replicating. The last thing we want to talk about is fever. You've got these pyrogens that will circulate around and cause a fever, and that will cause your hypothalamus to reset your normal body temperature to a higher range. And that signals your muscles to increase heat production and vasoconstriction. Now, there's benefits to having a fever, even though you don't feel good when you have one. First of all, any kind of microbe that is temperature sensitive cannot multiply. Bacteria don't have anything to eat because there's no iron. It reduces the available iron. And your metabolism increases, so that stimulates your immune responses and any protective physiological processes. Which of the following defenses is most likely to be active during a viral infection? Viral would be interferon.